Welcome back to Beneath the Jersey. This is Kalia Butler and Sydney Subley, where we have a special guest this week. She digs, she dives, she does it all as a defensive specialist and libero as a graduate student here at Syracuse. Alyssa, thank you for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start from the beginning. So we know you're from Oklahoma, and we did a little digging, and I personally love how I feel like your Oklahoma roots shine through. I saw like a cowgirl hat on media day. I was like, that's just a little bit of your personality.
Yeah.
But what was it like growing up in Oklahoma?
Definitely. I feel like it's not what you'd think because I did grow up in Oklahoma City, so it's not like super like small town, but like it definitely is more country than here, and even than Colorado was. So it's definitely different. And it's interesting because moving up here to the east, everyone doesn't like say hi, like or you like don't have like casual conversation with people like at the gas like pump, you know, like I don't know, it's different.
Yes.
Like everyone's just more down for casual conversation in Oklahoma, but here everyone's more like straight to the point, which is fine with me, but it's definitely different.
That's so true. I feel like we can even attest to that. Like in the Midwest, it's like someone walks in the door and you're like, good morning.
Yeah.
And
It's that Midwest niceness still.
it is. Absolutely.
What about some of the lingo? What have you noticed differences kind of country Oklahoma compared to out east?
I don't really know. I mean, I feel like I personally really notice when people have New York accents, even when they're like, I don't have a New York accent. Yeah, you do. But I don't know. And I don't have an accent really, so I don't notice it much. But maybe sometimes I do. Sometimes it comes out. But
Are you guys like an ope when you like do something wrong?
yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I think I said that to Sydney too with coming here. Especially the Midwest, every time you almost run into somebody, you're like, oh,
yeah.
So
Really.
it's good to know that happens in Oklahoma too. But getting back on track and talking about growing up, how did you get started playing volleyball, and who inspired you to do so?
So I have a brother who's 11 years older than me. He's my half brother, and his girlfriend in high school, who he's now married to, and they have a kid together and stuff.
Oh, wow.
She played volleyball, and like I just decided to play because I would go to her volleyball tournaments. Me and my mom would, like when they were dating, we'd go to her tournaments nearby, and so I was like, this is so cool. And so I started playing like in a rec league, and she was my coach. Her and my mom, they coached the team of like 8-year-olds, so that's how I got into it.
Oh my goodness. So did your mom have any connection to the sport, or she was just helping out?
She just played softball. She played softball. She was going to go to Fresno State, and then that didn't work out, but she was a pitcher. She's super into softball, and now my niece plays softball.
I love them all already. I was a pitcher too.
Yeah, and now my niece plays softball, so it's a big softball fan.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, you cannot go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Well, going from Oklahoma, we know you had to stop in between, obviously, Oklahoma and Syracuse. You went to Colorado State for 3 seasons. What was your experience like there, and how much did, you guys won your conference, you made it to the 2019 NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
How has that all prepped you to make an impact here at Syracuse?
So I feel like I went into a program that was already built up, right? And my freshman year when we went to the tournament, it was a bunch of seniors. They'd been there for a long time. Coach Tom Hilbert's been there forever. Like he just retired like a year ago. And well, this was his first season not coaching, but anyway, I feel like he's really built up the program, and I was able to like experience like a very successful like program who gets all the nice things, and like we were like the good team on campus. Like everyone loved the volleyball team, everyone loved to come to our games. So like experiencing that and like just like a winning culture, I think was like the common ground between me and Coach Bake, and how that's what he wants. And I like am passionate that he can do that here, so I feel like I've been able to like bring that here, and like I've been excited to like work towards that and like build the foundation for that here.
Going off of that, actually, did the retirement of Tom Hilbert prompt you to transfer, and what has the experience been like being with Coach Bake as compared to your old coach?
Right. So it actually wasn't, because he did one more season after I left. I did early childhood education at Colorado State, and they didn't have any other education programs. So the whole time the plan was just that if I wanted to keep playing, that I would grad transfer, because there was no more school for me really at Colorado State. So as soon as that season rolled around, like Coach Tom really helped me like get into the portal and stuff like that. Like, it was a good mutual like understanding that was just the path that I was taking, and they treated me as a senior and everything, which was nice. But then coming here, Coach Bake, he definitely has like he's definitely more disciplined, which I think is good. Like, I think that that's something that Coach Tom like used to have. I think that's how he built his program, right? And he got more chill as he got older, but some people might not think that. But you know, so I think that that's been really good, like for me, and like just seeing that value, because I want to coach whenever I'm like teaching, and so I think that that's something that I didn't think about as often, was just like the discipline and like the really, really little things of volleyball, right? And so I definitely appreciate that about him. So.
And we actually had a chance to speak with Paulina on our first ever show, and you had the chance to play with her last season. What does it feel like going from her playing with you to now coaching you?
It's interesting because obviously like she has great insight and she gives that to me, but sometimes it's nice to still like have like my friend there. Like we still have a really good relationship, so that's good. Like in between timeouts, like every timeout I like go up and I like hold her hand and I'm like I like take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, we got this. Like, it's not quite the same, but I definitely still have that like player connection with her, so it's nice.
You mentioned winning culture, and I think that's like such a hard thing, I feel like, to really explain unless you've felt it and experienced it. Kind of talk me through a little bit like what you maybe had in Colorado State and like what you're trying to bring here, and just kind of still the transitions that need to be made to really cultivate that winning culture.
Right. So I think that a big part of it is Coach Bake's discipline that he has, which I think he talks about it a lot more than my last school did, because my last school just did it, right? Like, we were always on time, we were always matching, we were always doing those little things, like, and I just came in and that's what we did, right? Whereas like here it's been like, this is what we're gonna do, and so that like it's been, and we've had people from all over and all different programs and everything, so getting everyone on the same page is, I think, a big part of that. And also, like, in volleyball, just like, again, getting everyone on the same page, because last year we had a whole new team, this year we have a whole new team again, and this year we're only graduating 2 people, so it's like, should be better for next year, like there'll be more people on the same page from the start. And I also think that coming from Colorado State, I had like really good teammates, and we really put an emphasis on being good teammates, and how like the team always comes first and stuff. So coming here, I've really tried to put that emphasis and making sure that like no matter what, we're like being the best givers we can be, and like even if you're having the worst game of your life, you should still be a good teammate and still have a good attitude. So that's something for me that I think is really important, and that I really try and like lead everyone else to do.
In the post game against Duke the other day, I had an interview with Coach Bake, and he said that this year he understands that you guys are a very young team. The rest of you guys are a very young team, and that he wants to be patient this year. And he said that was kind of ironic coming from him, because he doesn't consider himself to be the most patient person on this planet. But what are some things he has tried to implement for you guys, or has he, how has he kind of not become frustrated with what's happening? How has he tried to keep you guys motivated, sort of thing?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning of the season, and I think when he was recruiting people too, it's very like process focused. It's very we're gonna come in and we're gonna win, but also like it's gonna take time to like be winning all the time. Like, and so I think that he really talks about trusting the process, and like we're all on board with that, and like everyone coming into the program this year like knew that that's what we were doing, and so I feel like he really sends trusting the process. And we've had matches that we grow and we do really well, and we do things better than we ever have before. Like I'm trying to think, I mean, I feel like we have matches all the time where we get so much better in an area, or we just have an overall like the best match we've had. Even if we lose 0-3, it's like, oh my goodness, like we had such great moments. And so I think that he really tries to make sure to point out like when we're doing things well and when we're like improving. So
that's so good, because I feel like it's so easy as an athlete to be so outcome driven by the wins, but it's like he's building this foundation within your program, and sometimes people only like you really see the growth that's happening.
Right. Yeah. No, for sure. I feel like, especially because we've taken a lot of losses, it's like a lot of the times it's easy to be like, oh, I'm tired of losing. And it's like, but I think that that's something that a program needs to go through in order to be successful. I mean, you have to go through that like lull of tough times. So
100%. And we've talked about so many of the lessons that you've learned within this program, within this sport, and I know you have aspirations to go on to be a school teacher after this. What are some of the lessons from sports that you're going to take with you in your career?
Probably that I'm more than an athlete. I feel like playing sports has really showed me that I like there's a lot more to me, right? Like that I like teaching, and I like hanging out with my friends, and I'm a child of God, things like that. And I think that with teaching, it's very a very like consuming career, like emotionally. And so I think just like remembering that who I am outside of teaching is an important lesson that I'll take with me.
So has that been difficult to kind of fathom? I know you said that you understand that you are more than an athlete, but going into a program, going to Colorado State, making that tournament, and then coming here, obviously you've been playing volleyball for a while. Compared to when you first began in college, compared to now, how have you been able to sort of separate that identity, realizing you're going to be coming out of this program no longer an athlete?
So wait, what exactly is your question? I'm sorry.
So coming out of the program, how have you been able to separate yourself of the identity of being an athlete and knowing that there's more to you after the program is done?
I feel like I'm like really excited to be going into like teaching and coaching. So I think that like I'm just looking forward to that to an extent. And so, which obviously, like, I'm sad to be leaving volleyball, but also at the same time, I'm not going to be leaving volleyball. Like, I like really care about the sport, and so like I know I'm going to still be contributing to it. And at Colorado State, to graduate, I had a student teach that last spring before I came here, and during that time I was teaching and coaching, so I've kind of gotten like a glimpse, and like I know that like I'm going to enjoy it, and that like there's a lot of value in it, just like there is in playing my sport. So I think that there's like perspective and kind of I have a glimpse that it's going to be okay after sports. So.
And I think it's so special when, you love the sport you're playing with your whole heart, but then you're like, wait, I actually love something else too. Yeah. And I know when, I left, my college coach said this to me, and she said this to many other girls, and something like, for you to always hold on to, it's like your next step is really the gift that the game is giving you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what just like lets me have a peaceful heart.
Yeah. And like a big thing for me is, like I was saying, like getting my teammates to give, and like that's something that I'm always like big on, is making sure that I'm giving all that I can and more every game. And I think that that's why I love volleyball, is like the way that you can't win if you're not giving to each other. And so I think that like that's also why I'm excited to like teach and coach, is because like that part that I love in the game, like I'm gonna be doing one like afterwards too. So
absolutely, it's going to carry with you for the rest of your life. But, well, everyone, hold on tight. We're going to be right back. Alyssa's going to stay with us, and we're going to head into a quick break on 97.7, 100.1 FM. But we're still on QSportsTalk.com. Feel free to drop anything in the chat if there's anything you would like Alyssa to answer, and we will be right back. How are we doing on time?
You can check.
Oh, we're cruising. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I would love to even like dive into you hinted a little bit about things off the field, but Faith, I know you have your question here, and we'll get into everything else.
Cool.
Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. Good. It's easy.
Yeah.
Easy to talk.
This is also like really nice, like how you guys get to do this.
Right.
I know that like awesome. Paulina was in like Newhouse, so she got to see a glimpse of it, but it's really nice. And like I feel like we've had like there's always recruits that are like, I want to be in Newhouse.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So you guys had a whole new team last year, and then basically this year again as well. Wow. Yeah,
like we only had 4 returners this year.
How's it adjusting to new people each time?
I'm honestly, I don't think it's that weird. Last year was really weird because we literally showed up and started playing games. Like it was like weird. Like
you didn't even get to know each other.
Only half. Like we have 2 weeks of preseason before we start. Like we have of practice, but normally you have like the whole summer of like lifting and stuff and
bonding and building up that trust.
And
especially
so it was like 7 or 8 returners and then like 4 or 5 new people, and even that, like that was the whole team. And then like, so it was like me and the returners, and then the second week of preseason all the other people came, like the transfers came, and then after that like we were playing games. So but at Colorado State, we had a lot of, like, we had a big class at one point. Like, in my 3 years there, we had a big class come in during COVID. So, like, I feel like I'm kind of used to it.
Right.
now.
Just getting a bunch of new people in. And volleyball, you guys are kind of a smaller sport, so you'd feel like it's, like, the turnovers a little bit more, because when, like, 4 or 5 people leave, that's, like, a third of your team, you know?
Big chunk.
And, like, last year we had 4 people graduate, and then we had 2 or 3 transfer, and then like we had 1 or 2 choose not to play anymore.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like,
that's a big Hey, and you guys are on the court a ton, because there's not a lot of subs. I mean,
well, and we have a small roster still.
Yeah,
like,
you
it
do
should get bigger next year.
Okay.
Just with only 2 people graduating, I think like the core is bigger now to add on to.
We've been talking about getting rest time here on the show in general. So how have you guys been able to manage that with a smaller roster, having plenty of games and having...
We do we have mandatory like treatment sessions and stuff. Like we're the only team that like has to be there for an hour before and after practice.
Really?
So it's like, it's annoying, but I think that it's good for our bodies to be putting forth extra effort to take care of it.
Right, because it's so easy in the busy life to be like, oh, I gotta run from practice, when you really should take that hour.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then sometimes we won't lift, depending. So, like, we're waking up at 4 a.m. tomorrow, so we didn't lift today, so we could sleep in an extra hour before practice. So, like, they try and be cognizant of, like, making sure things like that. But
it's nice you guys just can fly out of Syracuse. I mean, it's such a quick little hop,
right
skip,
over
and
there.
a jump.
Yeah, in my last school, we'd drive an hour. Like, we'd have to drive to Denver.
Right.
Oh,
same. Yeah, it's... And in traffic, and then getting home at late at night, it can be a whole thing sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys fly commercial too, right?
But the only thing, like in Denver, it was always direct, whereas like here, it's always a connection. Small.
True.
Oh, especially
that's the one thing about Syracuse. Yes, always a connection.
Especially going down to Florida.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's nice when we play in North Carolina because it's like always direct.
Yeah.
It's always a direct there.
Well, I hope you guys get to go to the beach. I really do.
Me too.
Get a little sun in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Day only at SaltCityDeals.com. Watch your favorite ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com. Tomorrow's broadcasting stars today. Broadcasting live from the campus of Syracuse University. This is Newhouse Afternoon.
Welcome back to Beneath the Jersey. This is Sydney Supley alongside me, Kalia Butler, and our very special guest with us, Alyssa Bert. And, you know, we really just started to kind of dip our toe into what you did outside of volleyball, who you are. You know, you mentioned, obviously, your love for education and what you're going to bring and give to other people. You also mentioned a little bit about faith. So I would love for you to kind of, how did that become a part of your life, and where does that play within your athletic career?
Yeah, so growing up, I always went to church. It's kind of just like what you do in Oklahoma. Like everyone goes to church. So I did that. Like I was really involved in like the youth group, and so at a young age, like I was able to like be involved with that and like know Jesus, and so that was really great. And then as I got into college, I feel like with sports in high school, like I was always just like, whenever people go to college, like everyone's the best coming together. So I feel like I never really like struggled mentally as much in high school with sports. And so I feel like when I came to college, right, there's like that extra like anxiety to like do good, like I made it, I'm here. And at one point I asked one of my coaches at Colorado State, I was like, her name was Dree Colbert, but now she's Dree Blackman. She played at Colorado State. She's like one of the greatest of all time there. And I was like, how do I like stay close with God like while I'm playing? Like how do I like stay connected? Because it's so like hard. Sometimes you just feel like you're just in your sport, and like and she told me just like when you're present, like you're close to God. I feel like a lot, like we in sports, we're always saying to like remain present, right? Like stay in the moment, but like really like that's where you're closest with God. And so I feel like that's like for me the biggest thing is like staying in the moment. Like that's where I'm closest, and that's where I'm able to like be like true to like who he calls me to be and things like that. So
that's, I mean, such a good point, because I feel like, being a believer myself, but just watching like my teammates and athletes, it better than anyone, like so much of our time is devoted, your time is devoted to athletics, and you're gone on the weekend, so maybe you can't always go to church. Right. How are you able to kind of maintain that faith within a busy season, and do you have teammates who are with you on the same journey? Yeah,
it's definitely hard, and it was a big transition coming from Colorado State because we played Thursday, Saturday, so like me and a lot of my teammates, we could like go to church on Sundays because we like didn't play on Sundays, and then I came here and we play on Sundays. So sometimes like during like pregame, I'll like have church on my phone, but then like we have to go play the game, so I don't always finish, like I can't always finish it. But some of us are involved with FCA. That's hard sometimes with class schedules, but I think that I just try to like every day, like get on the Bible app and make sure I'm like reading the word. Before games, I'm like really strict about my routine. Like if someone's like, Alyssa, listen to this song, I'm like, I have my routine. But part of it's like, I like pray, like I write down a prayer. And so, yeah, just like staying connected that way, I think is good for me.
That's beautiful.
Could you describe FCA and your involvement here?
Yeah, I went a lot last fall, and then in the spring I had class, but it's just on Tuesday nights. I'm not like a leader or anything there, but a lot of people go. I think it's like a welcoming place for everyone. They like give you food and stuff, which is nice, especially like just as athletes, like feel like it's an incentive for sure for some athletes to go and like find a relationship with God, so that's good. But yeah, I really just attend. Sometimes I've gone to women's Bible study, but yeah.
And for those listening, just correct me if I'm wrong, FCA's, is it Fellowship of Christian Athletes?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's also Athletes in Action, which is like another thing. That's what we had at Colorado State, but it's like the same thing.
Okay. Transitioning a little bit, I've noticed at the games that you have a lot of tattoos on your arms specifically, and they're very colorful. I feel like I don't see colorful tattoos as much. Do they mean something in particular to you? What was the drive behind getting those?
So I started with like just the top of my shoulder and like mainly like a sunflower with like a globe in it, and that's because I went on quite a few like mission trips in high school to Honduras. Like at one point I was like, I want to be a missionary, like that's what I want to do, and then I kind of realized like that's not what I want to do. But yeah, so that just like, because that's a big part of my life and like part of my faith, and so I think that that's why I started it, and then I just eventually like added to it because I really like the flowers and it's fun. So yeah, and then I also have the coordinates to that ministry in Honduras, and it's not a tattoo, but before every game I write there's no body in the grave now, which like from an Elevation Worship song, it's like no enemy can hold you down because there's nobody in the grave now, just to like remind myself and like stay present like when the enemy's after my mind, so.
Could you describe some of those mission trips to Honduras, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so the first time I went with my youth group and just like as a group, and then after that I was like really moved by it and just loved the experience, and so I did like an internship there the following 2 summers for like 2 weeks and then like 4 weeks. So we would just go, and then I'd stay with like the main missionary, like I'd stay in her house, and then they would like feed the people on the streets of Honduras, build houses, things like that. So yeah, it was fun.
Wow, I feel like having any type of experience like that just changes the way you look at life here.
Yeah,
it makes
sure.
you feel so much more grateful.
Yeah.
Well, kind of a perfect segue into what we want to get into next, which is just a little bit about Title IX in terms of, you know, feeling grateful for what we have or maybe don't have yet. And I'm, you know, curious about what have been your experiences now at 2 top-tier programs, Colorado State, Syracuse, within Title IX.
I think that obviously everything's moving in the right direction. And it's really nice. I think that we have Mama Kay here, Kirsten, who really is a good advocate for us in order to make sure that we're getting treated right and that we're, you know, making moves in the right direction. And I think that Coach Bate coming here too, I think he really cares about like growing this sport, like this primarily female sport. And making it something special here at Syracuse, right? I think that like the women's building, if you haven't been there, it's pretty old. And he's working towards like making renovations there for us and doing that. And so I think that he's also moving things in the right direction. So.
In what areas do you think that at the university level that people can still grow with women's sports or areas of improvement?
This is a good question. Probably just that. I feel like for us, like the women's building, which I think that that's something, like I said, that Coach Bake is really passionate about now, is doing that. But otherwise, I feel like we have it pretty nice personally.
Which is great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I don't know, and I'm like thankful to be here, so I don't really think much about changing things, but I know that Coach Bake has a lot of plans to like improve things, so that's good.
Do you know have you seen a glimpse into what those plans look like?
Yeah, so actually we were on the road so much, like every preseason game, because we were planning to get our like whole like floor and everything redone, but then the timing didn't work out. But he's planning to, you know, get new bleachers and get Terraflex and stuff like that, so that's coming soon. Like they've already like got it all done. They just have to do it now after season, so that'll be good.
Even though it may be past your time, like how excited are you for those plans and just for, you know, the future of Syracuse volleyball?
Yeah, I think that it's really exciting too. I mean, and in terms of like recruiting, I think that like it's easy to come here and like see like, oh, like there's a lot of things that are like, oh, I don't know if this would be the place for me, but then like you meet the team and you're like, oh my gosh, this is great. And which is what really matters, right? Like Coach Bake wants people that like care more about that than like the nice stuff and like the materialistic things. But I think it'll be a good point for recruiting, like having that like the Terraflex floor, like that's like the thing, everyone wants that. And so that, and then like the bleachers, right, we can get more fans, so I think it'll be exciting also just for the community, because honestly we have like a decent amount of fans, I feel like, for how small the women's building is. Like we always have schools coming, we always have like random volleyball teams coming, like boys and girls volleyball teams, and they're always so excited to be there, so it's just like more people that we can get to come. So
I've noticed that you guys seem to be really close just in the way you guys interact with each other on the court. Can you describe the culture of the team a little bit?
Yeah, so honestly, we just try to have a culture of honesty. You know, I feel like in girls sports, like it's easy to gossip, honestly. And so I think we have like we've established like from the start that we're just going to be honest with each other, right? Like, so if we have issues or we think that things shouldn't be a way, like we're very upfront with each other, and we know that like we're all working towards a common goal. That's something Coach Bake says a lot, is like we all want the same thing, and so it's just a matter of like being good communicators. I think that's really helpful for us, because at the end of the day, like we do all love each other, and we had a really good summer together, like getting to know each other and having fun. And so I think that was like good for us for the start, and then like now we've been able to like hold each other accountable, like keep each other disciplined. And so I think that like that's how we've done it, is just that, and then like obviously like giving your best all the time. So
I feel like a lot of that is just credit to what you've been able to bring with your experience and just leadership. And as you go through, you know, these final weeks of your time with volleyball, what is kind of your end goal? What do you want to leave on the court on your, like, for every single one of your very last games?
Yeah, probably just this whole trend of giving. I feel like that's like my biggest thing. Like before every game, I'm like praying that I would like God would give me the strength to like give more than I have before, and like before the like more than the last match. And I just pray that that would be what I leave, is just that like the best teammates are the ones that give. Like I want people to remember me, like me, for the teammate that I was, which is good. So that's what I want.
That's amazing.
It shows your heart. That's
really
for sure.
shows. That's awesome. And what has been one of your favorite memories so far being on this team that you'll remember as you leave?
So in a volleyball memory is definitely beating Boston College last year in 5, because that was like really awesome. Like our first ACC win last year was really fun, and we're still in the hunt for it now. So I think that this year's favorite memory would be once we win an ACC match, because it's coming.
Yes.
We're going to.
It's on the horizon.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, it's coming.
And just going back to the team, obviously we know it's been a little bit of a rougher season, but with the connection that you guys have, how have you been able to keep a strong mentality to be like, you know, we are going to win an ACC game this year?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's like surprising that we're so like level-headed and like optimistic, but I really do think that people are committed to like the process, which is awesome. But it's easy to like get down and be like, but I feel like surprisingly no one really is. So I think that we're just grinding still and trying to figure it out. And I think with the young team, it's like a lot of the young girls are like really thankful to like be playing, like, right? I mean, when you go to college, like you have friends from your sports that are at other universities and stuff, and they see that like they're really like lucky to be playing, and they're just like, I feel like they're doing a really good job of like soaking it all in and being like, yeah, like we just have to get after it, right? Like they're getting an experience that most freshmen don't. So
very true.
Yeah.
Well, Alyssa, I know I speak for the both of us. We can't thank you enough for coming on, and we are going to be the loudest cheers when you guys win your first ACC match.
Have so much fun in Florida this weekend. Get a little tan for all of us in the room.
For me especially, please.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on today, Alyssa. We are going to take a break again on 97.7, 100.1 FM, but we're still on QSportsTalk.com during the commercial, so don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back. But in the meantime, please feel free to drop something in the chat that you would like us to talk about.